as
Do you
always, is retorted to the computer, so the CIA cannot find it. I'm just kidding. They'll find it anyways. They have Pegasus and Pegasus 2. Um, all right, so
Yes.
sorry, this is my sweat towel. It's very hot.
Oh, I thought it was a shirt.
Well, it is a shirt, but it's like that micro stuff. So it's like
Uh,
really, really nice. It feels really good.
hmm,
But all right, so oh man. It would be August 12th, 2021, right? Because August 13th, we were wheels up to Qatar.
believe so.
I think that's the right timeline. If it's not, it's just off by a day or two. It's not that big of a deal.
Do you remember what you were doing that day?
I remember we were still in the field exercise.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
guys you guys were. I wasn't. I was with the other like lower listed. I was making them do some like yard work. We're cutting
hmm
grass and stuff. You guys were out there and it sucked because you guys were already out all night long training.
We were out there. Yeah. Yeah, it was either for the day or for the week. I can't remember on that. But I remember we had been out there for a little bit because we were actively like drenched in water and sweat. And then we got the alert call. And then that's where fucking
That sucked. That must have sucked, dude.
we didn't get to go home or anything, so it was just kind of it was butts.
I bet it was. I saw the look on your face. That and
Dude, I just wanted a shower and they
our
wouldn't let
platoon
me
sergeant.
shower.
What was our platoon sergeant? St. George?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it in his face. He was pissed. He's like, "Are you fucking serious?"
Yeah. Yeah, because uh and we won't go into the details of how they prepare for everything. We'll start on the let's see. Well, let's cover it because it was botched. Pope Air Force Field was down due to
Yeah.
repairing because it was no longer serviceable via the Air Force. So we actually had to convoy down to South Carolina and go to a different base. I'll probably cut out where we went to. Um, but we went to a different state because we couldn't use our base. And so that added on like 12 hours to when we were supposed to be there because it
Yep.
took forever. It was a giant convoy. And we had obvious faults and shit go down on the way there. But all right, Hernandez, I haven't heard your perspective from this. So let's pick it up from you're on the God, what was it? Yeah, it was C-17. You're on the C-17. You're going to Afghanistan. Uh, they tell you they don't know the situation on the ground. We've got machine guns and artillery soldiers with us, and we're also trying to spin them up on how to properly use their M4s before we hit the ground.
Well, I'm gonna have to backtrack you a little bit there. I
Okay.
actually wasn't on the same plane as you guys on the first day.
Oh, you came later?
I came on the second day.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
here, I'll give you the breakdown of the first day then, since I was there.
Hmm.
Um, oh man.
Well, I could
So,
tell you what I saw, like, because from my perspective, we stopped by Germany, and
mhm.
I was watching the TV, the news coverage. I saw everything that was going down. Like, I saw our unit out there. I saw the plane going off with someone grabbing onto it as they
Oh
plunged to the
crap.
ground. So from my
Yeah.
point of view, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go see all that in a bit," because we were just waiting for the plane to refuel. We go
Yeah.
right into you guys. So for me, it was all hype. Like I was in some Humvees. The plan was C-17 to land on the airstrip, and
Hmm.
then once we land, we're just gonna get out in the Humvees, and like they were hyping us up, like this shit was going crazy. I saw the people rushing.
Yeah.
I saw the chaos. So you're welcome to tell me from your perspective what happened
Okay.
on that first day.
No, you're fine. That's my fault. Misremembering. Um, oh God. All right. Well, here, we'll start it from here. So I'll do so I see it on the edit. Um, okay. So Afghanistan, day one for me, I'm pretty sure that guys got there like a couple, if not, then like just a handful of hours before us. Um, we got down, the contractors were getting the helicopters disassembled. We're actively moving people, and the zombie horde hadn't happened yet. Um, we had been down for probably like an hour or two. We were liberating vehicles, moving troops to forward operating bases, trying to get them set up in their AOs and get everything straight for when command came down. Because essentially, we were just the initial, uh, good God, now I can't remember the word I'm looking for. Foothold. That's what it was. We're just the foothold trying to get in first. So we
Right.
came down, established the foothold, and then um, that's when the first horde broke through. At that time, me and Zach were riding around in the Mercedes Sprinter van and trying to pick up people and shit and also like handle what was going on. That was when we got stuck around the C-17 that was trying to backtrack and get out. And people were going straight into it because they were just getting around the Marines. They
Right.
I can't say specifically how they got through the terminal because that I'm not sure of. But all I know is that it funneled through that hole and then they just kind of morphed around the Marines and started attacking the C-17 and then flooding the hangars. From there, the MRAPs pushed back or they bounded back to the probably the last tarmac and where we established another foothold and then proceeded to push back everyone. This is all happening while the C-17 is actively trying to turn. Okay. And I've
Right.
got the Sprinter van in front of the C-17. Not by my choice. I had it out to the side. It's just the way that he swung, it ended up being in front. So Warren's trying to get out of the way of the C-17. Cruz has gotten sucked into the flood of people. Like we're trying to grab Cruz, but he's actively going farther and farther, just getting sucked into the people. And so he goes out on the other side and ends up linking up with the LT over there. Um, So he's far side, I'm this side. We've got Lieutenant Peck on back side. I'll probably cut out the names. Um, but we were containing that and pushing them away because we still had hangars that we didn't know what was inside of yet. And
Right.
so the first day was literally trying to combat the horde. And so, I mean, there's videos of the Apaches buzzing at about 8 to 10 feet above ground. That was not a joke. That wasn't like an angle or anything. That was literally like the bottom of the Apache would have hit you if you weren't paying attention.
Damn.
Um, yeah, very dangerous. We were pushing through. This was one of the funnier things. We were pushing through, and a full-size drone fell out of the sky and just landed right on the tarmac. And we're like,
What?
yeah, dude, a full-size drone fell out of the sky. And so we grab it and destroy it, or we gave it back. I don't know. That I'm not sure on. I don't know what they did with that. They gave it to command. Um, let's see. Oh, were you? No, y'all weren't there yet because I was looking for St. George when this happened. The fight continued through the night, and I don't remember the exact day it was on, but I do specifically remember that they hijacked an airplane and were trying to take it. And so Delta Company, as fast as we freaking could, as fast as sin, you know, we jumped out, trucked up, and got in front of them and surrounded them. And then I was calling out, "Hey, he's gonna flip a bitch," turn around.
Yeah.
And so we started covering down in case he wanted to flip a bitch. Right as soon as we get set up for him to flip a bitch, he starts turning the wheels. And I'm like, gotcha, bitch, now you're mine. And
Right.
then we were told to stand down and a very specific group of people came in and handled that. Not
Very
us.
specific.
A very specific group of people did. Um, from there, it was just a continuous fight of us pushing them back and forth. through the night because we didn't want to use excessive violence. I mean, these were very desperate people. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't have to tell you that. I'm just like reiterating it.
Right.
And yeah, we were handling as many casualties as we could handle, and that was, from what I understand, it was by importance and if we could manage it. Some of them I know later in the deployment got turned away because we couldn't handle it. But that's later down the road. All right, so day one was the flood, and then it's possible that they had the hijack on day one. It might have been day two, but I remember that. That was so wild because it was so funny. They were so determined that he wasn't going to flip a bitch, and I was like, no, he's going to try and turn around.
Right.
And
That must have been heart racing, man.
dude, I'd never seen it before. We never practiced it before either.
Yeah.
So for them to properly and accurately gauge where they needed to be and then assume that position, they did it great. I have no complaints. I'm perfectly happy with how my squad performed or how our platoon performed in that moment. It was
Yeah.
great. Um, Dude, overall, I'm very happy with our squad for the Afghanistan deployment. They showed a lot of self-control and a lot of professionalism. Mind you,
Well,
there was some situations, I know, we won't talk about the personal situations. Um, those are, like I said, personal. We're just trying to cover the stuff that happened and what we saw. Yeah, so um, we didn't we didn't get to check anything until you guys got there. So like we from the time we hit to the time you guys got there and we started to get it under control, we were hopping and popping.
I agree.
So day two.
Day two. Well, let me say on the way to you guys, I
hmm
recall C-17 as we're going into one, there was another one unloading the refugees, right?
Mm,
And dude, one thing I could tell you is the scent. Like
mm.
I didn't expect that to happen. I smelled that. I was like, oh my God. You could tell people were like fearful.
Here,
You
I
know what I'm
got
saying?
you. I'll put some info on that one. So, the refugees didn't understand that you could not use the bathroom where you were sitting on the plane, and that's not any fault of theirs. It's just purely circumstantial and cultural. I mean, they were pooping where they were standing when we were out there,
Yeah.
and they had specific people cleaning airplanes and specific people decontaminating them after the fact because of this. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So, heading into a C-17, already seeing these people panicking, telling that they're already like in a chaotic state. I didn't know what to expect when I was coming in. So when we got into the Humvees, we were in the Humvees in the C-17. So when we landed, they opened the back and then we reversed out. We had no guidance. There was no one there until we were able to get someone on the radio. So we quickly were able to start guiding us. Let me get out of that airstrip. And we passed by what you told me earlier, those agency, the
Mm-hmm.
three letters, And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh wow, they're even here. I was shocked. I didn't expect them to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were the reaction force. I thought we were the only ones. But we got to you guys and what was that? Was cells? Were they contractors buildings? What was that?
Um, uh, we were using it as like an identification and in processing place.
Uh-huh.
Uh, what they were using it for, I couldn't speak to. What I was told was that it was in processing and an identification.
Mm. Well, when I finally got to you guys, one thing I noticed about you guys was you guys facial expressions change. You know how you're used to seeing someone, they're like
hmm
cheerful, happy, whatever, but all of you guys had the same eyes, just like painfully like you guys were, I guess I could say, locked in, or you guys were in a headspace where you guys were like unwinding but trying to like stay on stay alert. But
Yeah.
I noticed it was like a serious situation. Like, this is no fucking game anymore, man. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? Like this is everything we've been training for. And I could recall like the constant gunfire in the background. And I didn't know what it was until I saw it myself firsthand. I was like, oh, they're doing that to civilians out there. Okay.
Hmm.
And
What
but
here, let's put it in perspective. Um, so where we were living, there was a how tall was it? About 40 feet, 30, 40 feet tall.
the
The
wall,
wall. Yeah.
I'll say so.
Yeah, there's about a 30 foot wall, and then there's some space, and then there's another wall, and then there's a road, and then there's some foliage and some buildings. And right over there, it would just be mass casualty events.
Yes. And it's funny because well, not funny, but I was when I was there, I was full of energy. So I was like, I need to do something. Can I help you guys with anything? And they're like, we need you to fill the trucks. And I'm like, the trucks that you guys commandeered. And I was like, okay. And it's crazy because I wanted to ask for help, but like everyone was like, high chain was like making plans. The lower enlisted didn't know where the gas place was. I think it was just you and two other people knew where the gas place was. And I was with Armani,
Hmm.
and we were charged to go get gas. And bro, there was no real guidance. They're like, it's over there down that road, make a right.
Hmm.
I'm all,
Yeah.
okay. And I went. And then
This is
I didn't make
14
that right.
rights.
I did not make that right.
Yeah.
Dude, I ended up in this shady part of this fucking place where no one was around.
Yeah.
None of our unit. And I was like, holy shit, where am I? There was rubble and like there was a warehouse full of like kits, like
Yep.
helmets, like chest plates. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, where the hell is this goddamn gas station? And then
Dude.
I ended up exploring a warehouse. Like, no, I shouldn't be here. We gotta get the fuck out of here. We get gas, and then Armani's like, let's go back in that warehouse. And I'm like, let's go back in the fucking warehouse, dude. So we go in there. Dude, I came up on like a free pins. Like, I
Hmm.
need a pin. And
Yeah, dude.
it was like because I was like, hey, it's a token of memory of Afghanistan. But it's kind of haunting though, if you think of it felt like fall, you play Fallout? Of course you play Fallout.
Yeah. Yeah, I've played
It felt
Fallout.
it felt like Fallout. Like it was like post-apocalyptic, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all left in a hurry too. So they left everything. It was, I think the weirdest part for me was finding so much ammunition, so much weaponry, just so much of everything.
You're talking about those loaded magazines that are just spread about. Well,
Well,
they're
not
spread
just
everywhere.
there was Connexes full.
Yeah,
And so,
and we couldn't torch it.
I mean, to an extent, we did what we could. It's just a lot. It was so much that you couldn't, you had to take it, you know?
Yeah, didn't you guys find like brand new 240s?
Found a lot of brand new stuff. We found like an M700 too. I didn't
Damn.
find that, but someone found it. I don't know who found it. Well, I just remember seeing it and then asking if I could have the scope, and then they're like, "No, command wants the scope."
Oh man, the command should have never known that.
Uh, well, I
Yep.
mean, that's like when they were telling everybody, you can't keep anything, you know.
Yeah, we're
I
bad
didn't
for
end
those
up,
guys, man.
I didn't end up getting jack out of it. Well, that's not true. I ended up getting like a couple things that don't matter, but I'd say that don't matter. But I did get a couple like memorabilia stuff, like the SF beret insignia, an Afghan national flag.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you told me that.
yeah, the challenge coin for Afghanistan. Um, yeah, that was like pretty much it. I think I got a no, yeah, that was it.
You know what? One thing surprised me about Afghanistan, where we were, weather was nice.
It
It was a shitty situation. There was gunshots, there was fucking explosions, all this shit is crazy. And I was like, this weather's not that bad.
yeah. Um, no, it was fine. I mean, for the most part. I mean, other than the mass murders, the mass abductions. Oh, how about we tell about the um World War Z night where the SF and the ANASF and the Turks. So,
Oh man. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Go explain that.
okay. So day three, um, they broke through the tarmac and well, they didn't break through. They had casually been closer to the tarmac at this point, and we were having trouble pushing them back because they kept like um praying at your feet and then inching forward, so you would have to lift them up and move them. And people were doing that, and then I think it was like by nighttime, um, some of the forces had had enough, and that's when the Taliban came in from the terminal side, and uh, I want to say I had just changed out with whoever was on the gun because I couldn't have been there 5 minutes, and this dude came around the corner, and I could see him like striking people with his AK. And then I saw him break the buttstock of his AK, and that was after he hit somebody with it. And
Right.
then once he realized that that was no longer a viable option, he pulled out a machete and started going to town on people. And then after that, it it created a wave effect where everyone was seemingly screaming and running towards the opposite direction. And so now they've started to like shoot in the air and sh attack the people and push them back while the ANASF is coming up behind us. They're coming up behind us and um, I'll quote one of the soldiers that was on the front lines. He asked why we weren't being more violent with the Afghan nationals and hit one with a pole. He didn't move. So he shot him in the face.
Damn.
And then there was the buggies that came through and they were going horizontally back and forth in front of them. And they started all right, they weren't going in front of them at a slow pace. They were zipping past them at like 20 to 30 and pushing them back. If you weren't fast enough to get out of the way, you got run over.
Right.
And then once they successfully got them back to the terminal using the buggies and the BMP, that's when it turned into an all-out shootout on the civilians for the Taliban, or who I presume was the Taliban because I couldn't identify them from how far I was.
Yeah.
And then when dusk broke the next morning, there was absolutely nothing.
Watching that was trash, man.
I just sick because on one hand, you have like us fighting all day with the nationals, like keeping them back, making sure people have proper paperwork, trying to take people out of the costumes they're wearing. I say costumes because people would come up in like the pilot uniforms, or they would come up in an ANA garb that they had found, or they'd come up on a ID badge that didn't belong to them.
Right.
I mean, any facet of the imagination, printing off a fake passport, um, all that mixed in. So, I mean, on one hand, we were doing it as humanely as we could, and then the Taliban came in and just decided that bloodshed was necessary. That
Yeah,
was when
man.
we were forced, hands tied, do not engage. The Taliban were here to help us. I think that was the same day that we saw that on CNN.
Yeah, they say that there was nothing violent from the Taliban. Like they say there was no murders from them. Like bullshit.
Yeah, because we had access to TVs the entire time. Like TV were in the fob. We could see it. We could see CNN. We could see Al Jazeera. They
Yeah, that
were
was
talking
wild.
about how there were so many people climbing on the tarmacs to get into or not the tarmac, the loading bridge to get into the plane, that the bridges were collapsing. There were so many people in the planes and on the planes that the planes were collapsing. There were so many people that were trying to break or just get through, the fences were collapsing. Like,
That's terrible.
I
Very
mean, shit,
chaotic.
there's that one picture of the Marine being handed the baby over the fence. One of the identifiers for a creek was Dead Baby Creek
Damn.
because there was consistently a dead baby in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's just it's a moral conundrum.
Do you recall? Excuse me. Do you recall when we had to turn away that bus?
Which one?
Uh, the one with a certain person trying to take
Oh, no,
charge.
we need to do the whole story on the buildup of that first. Here, why don't you do
Oh,
it? Because we got to do why we were there in the first place.
well, I'm still a little hazy, like trying to remember all of it,
Okay.
because
Well, here, I
I'm
got you.
because I recall. Well, maybe you can help me on this night. There's, I think it was near the gate. We had a bunch of the nationals like behind a wall, and we were throwing flashbangs in the end, and we were shining our lasers at them. What was that area? You know what
It
I'm talking
was
about?
Northgate.
Is that what it was? The North Gate?
Yeah, Northgate. Um, so we weren't throwing flashbangs. That was that person.
That was
So
him?
yeah. So not him specifically. It
Well,
was
his
the
people.
A&A people with him.
Wow.
Um, so we were sent to Northgate because they were having pileups of people who needed to get through. They needed to be processed and they needed to be identified by Homeland. And so we got there probably like 8 or 9 the night before. Yeah,
Hmm.
before that incident. We got there. Oh, shit, no. Let me think. Yeah, 8 or 9 at night we got there and we stationed at the gate because there was a side mound that you had to walk around the front of because there was a hole in the fence and we had to guard that to make sure that they didn't come through that. And then we had them all lined up and ready to go for when Homeland got there. We were just waiting for Homeland until, or no, State Department. Sorry, not Homeland. We were waiting for State Department until 8 or 9 the next morning because they didn't end up coming out during the night.
Right.
Um, so during the nighttime, while we were standing there waiting for State, um, Tim and his cronies showed up looking for someone. And so when they got there and no one was moving and no one was doing anything, they started asking questions. And we gave them the response that we were just waiting on State. And I'm not sure who they talked to. I'm not sure what approval or disapproval they got, but they started making moves towards the gate. They put a ladder on the gate. They started doing flashbangs and concussions. They cleared out the tower that was on the other side of the gate. And then we decided at that point to set up in front of the buses so that way they had no choice but to wait. And so we were stationed in front of the buses and I forget who was stationed on the back of them. And so I can't speak to what happened on the like higher chain of command of what was going down with Tim and them. I'm sure if I could get Street George, who could say, I'll
Right.
probably cut that out. Um, but all I know is that 3 buses of unvetted people had to be downgraded and then processed. And then it turned out that none of them were allowed through because none of them had the proper credentials. So all of those people got loaded up and ready to go for nothing.
Yeah, I remember that. A
That
giant waste of
was
time.
that was also the same time that two Republican lawmakers decided to come down and do a photo op that also held up the evacuation for a couple hours because we weren't allowed to put aircraft on the ground while their private jet was still going.
You know, I forgot about that.
Yep,
Um, oh my God. They saw
I
an
didn't forget about
opportunity to
that.
freaking photo press.
Yeah, I didn't forget about that. You can Google who it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's I looked it up yesterday, and one of them's a Michigan lawmaker.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, dude, that's wild. But he ended up getting kicked out of Afghanistan after that. I don't know the specifics on why. I just know that he was no longer allowed in Afghanistan.
Dude, I felt like a liar telling the kid, like, we're gonna get you safe. We're gonna get you safe. And then who was the forces working with us right there? Because there was another force, and then I tried to calm down the kid, and that guy just like slap. I'm talking about he hit the hell out of this kid in front of me, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Oh, that's the way we treat him here." I'm like, "Okay," like
Turkish.
it was
Turkish.
Turkish,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, it's the same as when there would be the older guys who were taking two by fours and they were also civilians and would beat the other ones with them, like with the two by four. It's the same type of stuff.
Yeah.
But here, let's take a breat for a second so I can stop sweating for a couple minutes. Let's think about it. There wasn't any like huge responses or big incidences other than the flooding of people and the explosion. But to that, I can't even speak on who went to the explosion.
I was on the radio when that happened.
Were
So
you?
yeah,
Go for it.
I was. I think that's when I was telling you I was admiring the weather and stuff, and I was just chilling. I was trying to be positive with the boys. Then I heard it over the radio about the explosion on the gate. Like I didn't know how to respond to that. I was just like, holy shit! Like had to I passed it on to the chain. I did, but just a part of me didn't want to know like we got hit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's like fuck.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, it's still a possibility, even if you don't want to think about it.
because I felt like all the positivity feelings I had there gone. It's like fuck. Any of us could get hit. Like right there.
Yeah, and I was trying my best to keep y'all's mind off the fact that we were completely surrounded, and that the only thing that stood between us and what I assume was 200,000 people was about 2,000 soldiers and a handful of very sophisticated, very, very powerful airplanes in the sky above us.
Yeah.
And that's that's a big that's a big fight. Like I thought about it one time and then I was just like, okay, well if that comes to pass, then we'll have to figure it out at that moment.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Yeah. A month before, I had a dream about being at a airstrip and being in a Humvee with soft doors.
Hmm.
And in that dream, it was pretty bad, man. We got flooded by a bunch of people. I didn't get it, like why there was like this is I didn't know this can actually happen. But in the dream, we got rushed, and then someone grabbed the shotgun and then schwacked the guys in the back, and then I was like the last one alive, and then I got killed. And then I woke up. That was the dream.
Damn.
And then I was like, fuck, that was real. Whatever. We got deployed and we were at the fucking airfield, dog. In our Humvee with those soft doors. I was looking at you, I was like, This better not fucking happen, man.
Dude, I don't wait, are you talking about when we had which one was it? Was it the black one or was it the tan one?
It was tan. It was, I think
Tan?
the tan. No,
Was it the
with
Tacoma?
is that what you called it?
There
The
was
Tacoma?
dude,
The
there
one with the
was
tape. It
like
had tape on it that said Tacoma, no? Or
I don't know, dude. There we stole I mean, we didn't steal. We had so many trucks that we were
oh, we
using.
brought our
I'm just
own.
so confused.
It was our own.
Oh, okay, the beach cruiser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had soft doors in that one.
Oh my God. Now I forgot all about that. Oh my
Dude,
God.
I was panicking, dude. I didn't forget it. I was like, shit, this is just like my fucking dream. And it was at nighttime too. And I was just there like, this is a terrible Humvee to be in.
Oh, that's when we were doing the patrols. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that now. Oh my God. Yeah, I was just kind of like, well, we can't do much about it. So let's just stay extra vigilant.
Yeah, because I know one of the trucks that I believe Cruz was driving got hit by like gunfire.
Yeah, it was either yeah, one of them got shot. One of the windows got blown. Uh, I think Earth's platoon, they also got hit. Um, it was Cruz's window, because he was like they were getting ready to pull out, and the shot hit the window right because I was the vehicle behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one because he called it out, and they were like, "Just keep going." You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? It's a pop
Yeah,
shot from God knows how far, you know? I
that's
get
true.
it. Plus, there's no way of identifying like what structure it came from because we were just surrounded by those two towns.
It was crazy how close they were, weren't they?
Yeah, that was weird. It was like they were maybe 200 to 300 meters away from the tower, and then there was like uh guard towers in between that. That's what really was weird is when we went out there looking for that I think it was a Camry, the Toyota Camry.
The we had a bolo for?
Yeah, and when Cruz went up to it and he saw that um there was a black box in the front seat, called it out, and then we bound back. But when we were out there, dude, the towers, they had left like the NVGs, the machine guns, the 320s, like
Damn.
I was like, what the fuck? All of it. It's all over the place. So that was concerning. Um, there was a portion of it where we had to do a handoff between us and the Taliban, and we had to provide coverage for it. I'm pretty sure that was when I was the eye in the sky, and they had like almost everyone in the tunnel, or not the tunnel, but like the gate, because it's like two system gate where it's like an entry door and then the security door to make sure that you're not trying to kill everybody. And so they shut off that one, opened up this one, and then we walk out, and then they shut this one.
Right.
And so, dude, that was just weird. That was so fucking weird. I don't even want to get into that because, like, actually, you know what? Fuck it. The Taliban came walking up in immaculate uniforms. Like, not like, I shouldn't have said uniforms, immaculate gear. Like, it was obviously our gear. Like, PECs, ACOGs, M4s, Knight's Armament M4s, just so you could be extra jealous. Um,
Damn.
yeah, they had tungsten rounds all over the place. They had NVGs. They had our radios. So
Almost feels
every
planned, doesn't it?
that place was stripped of everything. And then it was all dispersed and moved, or the Chinese flew in and they looked at it and they studied it and scanned it. People came in to auction, buy, and sell this shit. It went everywhere.
And you would get in trouble if you lose a canteen.
Yep.
But, let's not say anything about those weapons that we left behind.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have to do more research into endings of war, but that was so, there's so many things that I could say. Like,
Yeah.
it was handled poorly by the Biden administration because they had a fully operational Bagram, which they decided to give up. Doesn't make sense. Perfect situation to either continue the war by something happening and you could decimate Afghanistan entirely off of that retaliatory, or end the war, which is stop making money there. And then immediately Ukraine popped off after that.
Hey, it did, didn't it?
Yep.
I didn't connect those dots.
Yep, because we were already worried about the posturing of Russia by the time we came back from Qatar or
Damn.
Kuwait, excuse me. Here, let's see. Let's pull it up. Let's fact check ourselves real quick. We got our phones here. Uh, it was 6 months after.
You just
I
can't
mean,
have peace, huh?
I mean, people would be like, that's 6 months after. That doesn't mean anything. And it's like, okay, but how long does it take to move an entire military across the country?
Mm, good point.
That's my question. Anyways, like I'm saying though, we'll find out soon where those uh shit's coming from. But here, I'll stop
Yeah,
it.
I don't like being a pawn, man.